All right, diving deep today. And let's see. Yeah, we're looking at ancient grimoires, the sixth and seventh book of Moses. Catchy, right? You familiar with
Oh,
these?
absolutely. And right away, I got to clarify, we're not talking about, lost chapters of the Bible here. These are what we call grimoires.
Okay, so grimoires. Now, for folks like me who haven't cracked open a dusty old spell book lately, what are we dealing with here?
Essentially ancient spell books. Yeah, think manuals for tapping into hidden knowledge, supernatural powers, that kind of thing. Actually, they were pretty popular back in the day. Shows you how fascinated people were with magic and trying to shape their world, I guess.
So these books of Moses, they're claiming to reveal this secret stuff, and it's coming from Moses himself. That's a pretty big claim.
Yeah, it is, and it's more direct. That link to Moses in the sixth book, the seventh book, that one came much later, and it leans more on tradition. Like it's been passed down, not directly from Moses.
Okay, little disclaimer there. Got it. But let's get to the good stuff. What's actually in this sixth book?
Well, it's all built around these seven seals of the spirits, and each one is connected to a specific choir of angels. Like imagine a big old chart, but it's angels, and each choir they've got their own specialty.
Okay, so like angel departments, each one's got its own expertise. So if I've got a cold, I call up the healing choir. Is that how it works?
Quite. But each seal, it's like it comes with its own instructions. You got a specific conjuration for each seal, a spell basically, and it uses holy names to call on the angels of that choir. Yeah. Direct line to the right angel department. I like it. And these conjurations, I'm guessing it wasn't just like whispering in any old language.
You're right. You're right. They use Hebrew, and it's significant. Shows how important they thought language was, sacred language especially. It wasn't just the words, but the power they carried. You know, how they could resonate with the spiritual side of things.
Like a spiritual Wi-Fi password or something. You need the right language to even connect. Okay, so you're connected. What then? What do you ask these angels for? I mean, I'm hoping it wasn't just small talk.
Right, right. So each seal, they believed it could unlock a specific power or a secret. Like the first seal, they thought it could draw buried treasure right up to the surface. Hold on, like a magic metal detector. You just hold the seal over the ground and it starts beeping.
Not quite that straightforward, although that would be a popular app, wouldn't it?
Mm.
No, the instructions for this first seal, you got to bury the seal itself, then wait for a full moon, and then bam, treasure's supposed to pop right up out of the ground.
Okay, now that is cool, but why bury it in the first place? What's the full moon got to do with any of this?
That's where it gets really interesting. See, it wasn't just about following the steps. There was this whole layer of symbolism going on. Burying the seal, it's almost like planting a seed, but it's your intention. And the full moon, well, that's supposed to be a time of strong spiritual energy, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they thought it amplified that intention and pulled that treasure up.
So it's less like a spell and more like the moon's your accomplice or something. I can kind of see why these grimoires were so popular, but hold on. We've only talked about one seal.
Right.
What other secrets were they hiding in these books of Moses?
Oh, the first seal is just the start. For example, the fourth seal, that one was supposed to give you a long life, make you
Yeah.
rich, all that, just by carrying it around. And then there's the seventh seal.
Wait, before we jump ahead to the seventh seal, let's stick with the fourth one for a sec.
Right.
So just having it on you, that's it. Like
Yeah.
an ancient lucky rabbit's foot or something.
That's a great question. And it shows you how different people thought back then. It wasn't really about luck. Not like we think of it. See, they thought these seals were like channels,
Yes.
ways to tap into some kind of divine power.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't like a good luck charm you just stuck in your pocket. It was about, aligning yourself with these energies, these cosmic energies, and in this case they were all about, living a long time, having lots of money, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, aligning yourself, I get it. But that's just, what, one seal? We've got a lot much more. What about that seventh seal? That one sounded pretty wild.
Oh, the seventh seal, right. That was the one they thought would give you power over air spirits, control the winds, make storms, maybe even fly if you could, get it right. Whoa, okay, we went from buried treasure to flying. That's quite a jump.
Hmm.
Makes you wonder, did people really believe this stuff? That they could like actually do those things just from a seal?
It's hard to say, really, but you can tell these beliefs they really captured people's imaginations.
Yeah.
This desire to control nature, to figure out the mysteries of the universe. It was strong, and these grimoires they weren't just stories. Not to the people who used them, they were seen as like tools, ways to access real power. At least that's what they
Mhm.
believed.
Right, right, yeah. And that takes us to the seventh book of Moses, which, if I'm remembering right, this is where things get even more complicated. We're not just talking seals anymore. We've got these 12 tables of the spirits now. What are those all about? Like cheat codes for the universe or something?
Huh. Yeah, you could say that. So each table, it was connected to a different element.
Yeah.
Air, fire, water, earth, or a celestial body like Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, that sort of thing. Like they each controlled a different part of the cosmos.
So instead of like calling a whole choir of angels, you could use these tables to connect with spirits that were linked to like specific things. Like say I've got a court case coming up, I'd want to, I don't know, talk to the spirits of Jupiter because
Yeah,
he's a
the god of justice, right?
exactly. Each table it had its own, powers, its own attributes.
Yeah.
And if you understood how they all fit together, well the idea was that you can use that to influence what happened in the real world.
Okay, so say I found the table that lines up with what I want. What then? How do you like activate it? Do you
Hmm.
like push a button? Oh no. No, it wasn't that easy. These grimoires, they lay out these really specific instructions. Lots of rituals, incantations, even using special objects, that kind of thing.
Speaking of objects, this book mentions some pretty wild ones. There's a generation seal, a breastplate of Moses, even a helmet of Moses and Aaron. Were those actual things, do you think, or more like symbolic in their heads?
That is a question, and one that's kept scholars busy for a long time. It's tough to say for sure if they were real physical objects, but the way they're described in the grimoires, you can tell they were supposed to be incredibly powerful, at least symbolically. Like the generation seal, they thought it could control spirits, like a magic contract or something.
So it wasn't enough to just, summon these spirits. You had to like make sure they played by the rules, hence the generation seal. What about these other objects, the breastplate, the helmet? What were they good for?
Well, the breastplate of Moses, that was supposed to protect you, guide you, kind of like the breastplate the high priests wore in the Bible. They
Huh?
thought it had these powerful Hebrew letters on it, and
Yeah.
and that these acted as like channels for divine energy. And the helmet of Moses and Aaron, that was supposed to protect you from dying suddenly, which back then that was a pretty big concern.
Yeah, I can see that being a popular feature. It's interesting how these objects they kind of blend the Bible with magic, Like they're mixing religious stuff with these more, I don't know, hidden traditions. But let's get back to those instructions. We've got rituals, objects, what else? What else did you have to do to use these tables?
Oh, right, right. So timing, that was really important. Certain times a day, certain ways the stars were aligned, those were supposed to be better for doing magic. They also used specific materials, like consecrated chalk or a ram's horn. And then there were the ministering formulas. These were like pronouncements you made during eclipses. And the Hebrew language, that was crucial for those too. They had to be in Hebrew for it to work.
Okay, hold on. Back up a little. What's so special about eclipses? And why all the Hebrew again?
Well, they thought eclipses were like these moments when there was more spiritual energy, like the line between this world and the spiritual world, it got thinner. So it was a good time for magic. And the Hebrew, well, we talked about that before, how they believed it was a sacred language, like it was built into the universe itself, the very fabric of it.
So it's like a cosmic power surge, and you're using the right code, the right language to tap into it. Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. But this all sounds pretty complicated. Was there like a warning label on these grimoires, like don't try this at home?
You're right. It wasn't like you just said a few words and got what you wanted. The grimoires, they stressed that you had to be careful,
Mhm.
that magic could be dangerous, especially if you didn't know what you were doing. They said you needed faith, a good heart, that your intentions had to be pure. It wasn't just about the outward stuff.
A little cosmic common sense. I like it. Don't mess with stuff you don't understand, and be careful what you wish for. Makes sense to me. But even with all that, there's this one part in the seventh book. It really got my attention. It's about the magical law of Moses and how it could be used to, get this, summon the dead.
Yeah, okay, now we're getting into some creepy territory. What's
Yeah.
the deal with that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the magical law of Moses, right?
Yeah.
That's one that still kind of creeps people out. It's like they're saying Moses, he knew this stuff, how to talk to the dead, even tell them what to do, and that it was this like secret knowledge that got passed down.
Okay, yeah, that's intense. Did they actually try to use this law? Like, what was the point of talking to dead people anyway?
Who knows, really? But it shows you how much people wanted to connect with those who died.
Yeah.
To get answers maybe or some kind of closure. Back then, they thought the line between the living and the dead it wasn't so solid. Like it was easier to cross over.
Right, right. Okay, so we've got these ancient texts. They're telling you how to find treasure, how to like control the weather, even how to talk to dead people. It's a lot to take in. But there's this whole other thing we haven't even gotten to yet, the Rabellini table and all these spirits, good ones, bad ones. What's that all about?
Right. So the Rabellini table, it's basically a guide to the spirit world, like who to call, that kind of thing. It's got angels, demons, all sorts of beings, and it's interesting because it's like they took ideas from the Bible about angels and then mixed them with these older beliefs about spirits.
So like on the good side, we've got the 9 choirs of angels, right?
Yeah.
Each one's got their thing, their prince, like a heavenly court or something.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got your seraphim, your cherubim, archangels, all the big names.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the Rabellini table, it doesn't just like ignore the bad guys, the darker side.
Right. We got the 7 princes of evil, and these aren't just like your average demons, you know. These guys, they mean business. So who are they? What could they do?
Well, each one they describe them with these really vivid images, often as animals. You've got one that's like a vicious dog, another one's a wild ox. There's even one that looks like an old lion. They're not like shadowy figures, you know. They're forces of nature, something to be afraid of, and also like kind of awesome in a way.
Yeah, I'm picturing them now, and it's a little creepy, but they weren't just like scary looking, or they could do stuff. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The grimoire, it says they could grant you wishes, tell you secrets, even change things in the real world. But and this is a big but, you don't get something for nothing, right? Especially with these guys. The grimoire, it warns you. It says you could end up making a bad deal, you know.
Yeah.
Like selling your soul for power or whatever it is you want.
Classic deal with the devil, right? Gets you what you want, but then there's always a price. It makes you wonder, did the people who wrote this stuff, who use these grimoires, did they really believe it, or was it just like a way to make it more exciting, you know, like adding a bit of danger to it all?
That's a tough one. It's hard to know for sure what was going on in their heads. But what we can see from these grimoires is that back then, the lines between, you know, good and evil, sacred and the stuff you weren't supposed to mess with, those lines were blurry, a lot blurrier than we think of them today.
Right. It's like we're looking back in time and we're seeing this world where magic and religion and all these stories, they're all mixed up together. It's fascinating, but also like kind of spooky, you know?
Yeah, totally. And it makes you think, you know, have we really moved on from all that, or is it still there somewhere deep down in